Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Jane begins on her hands and knees. She curls her toes under. Then she lifts her hips up and back. As we look at Jane's pose, we can see her hands are cupped with fingers curled inward. Her arms are rolled in and bent. Her feet are uneven and her legs are bent. Her left hip is lower than her right. She's dropped her belly toward the floor as she tucked her chin to her chest and moved weight onto her hands. Jane pushed herself up with her arms instead of lifting with her hips. Let's have her come down and try again. This time Jane positions her knees directly under her hips. She aligns her hands flat on the floor, slightly in front of her shoulders with her fingers spread apart. She curls her toes under. Then she lifts her hips up and back, drawing her spine and arms into a straight line. Jane pushes her thighs back to straighten her legs as she spreads her shoulders. She rolls her legs in. She rolls her lower arms in as her upper arms roll out. She extends her ribs and head toward her hands as she pulls her belly in and toward her chest. She stretches her hips to her heels and her heels toward the floor. To exit, Jane bends her legs evenly and returns to her hands and knees. Let's watch Jane's skeleton in Adho Mukha Svanasana. As we look at her initial pose, we can see her arms and hands have turned inward. Her fingers are bunched together and her palm is lifted. Her arms are bent. Her chin is tucked to her chest. Her right foot is behind her left. Her legs are bent and her pelvis is tipped down and to the left. Jane has more weight on her hands than her feet. Let's have her come down and try again. Jane positions her hands just in front of her shoulders. She aligns her knees directly below her hips. She spreads her fingers so the palm is on the floor. She curls her toes under. Then she lifts her hips evenly, drawing her spine into a line with her arms. She keeps her shoulders wide as she pushes her thighs back. Jane's upper arms roll out as her lower arms and legs roll in. She extends her ribs and head toward her hands as she rolls her belly in and up. She stretches her hips to her heels and her heels toward the floor. To exit, Jane bends her legs evenly and returns to her hands and knees.